The Dustin Daniels Show. Unashamedly proclaiming God's purity through His Son, Jesus Christ. Devoted to saving marriages. Dedicated to protecting children. Addressing sex with biblical truth and without shock value. You're listening to the intersection of life and lust. Call toll-free at 1-855-5-DUSTIN. And now, here's your host, Purity Pastor Dustin Daniels.
It is for freedom that Jesus Christ has set you free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And why is that? Because there is no condemnation, there is no judgment, there is no penalty for those who are in Christ Jesus. For the law of the Spirit of life has set you free in Christ Jesus from the law of sin and death. Passages this morning from Galatians, the Gospel of John, and in Romans. Welcome to the show. My name is Dustin Daniels. I am your Purity Pastor. And we're going to take a break today from our series titled The Exodus, a journey from the desert to the promised land. And instead, we're going to discuss what it looks like to be set free. Is that even possible? To be set free from your vice, from what the world calls addiction, from what God calls slavery. Is it possible to be set free from the bondage of sin, especially sexual sin? You just heard the scriptures that I read, and my question to you is, do you believe them? If Jesus Christ has paid the ultimate price by shedding His blood on a Roman wooden cross, and He dies and He atoned for your sexual sin, He was the substitute, and He chose to raise Himself up after 3 days, and He conquered death, just like the scriptures said He would, are you now set free? The Apostle Paul writes, "O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?" And yeah, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. But some of you are asking yourself, but hey, wait a second. Hey, Dustin, why is it that I'm not free? Why is it that I keep going back to my secret sins over and over and over again? And that's a great question. And if your secret sin is pornography, then you're not alone. You think you're alone, but you're not alone. We have an epidemic raging through our churches, and we're being slaughtered by the world. We're being slaughtered by the enemy, and we're being slaughtered now by our own government. But my guest today has a lot to say about this subject of pornography and how to be set free from its bondage. In 1961, Josh McDowell joined the staff of Campus Crusade for Christ International, and not long after, he started the Josh McDowell Ministry to reach young people worldwide with the truth and the love of Jesus. And he's a well-known, articulate speaker. Josh has addressed, check this out, more than 25 million people, giving over 27,000 talks in over 125 countries. Josh, welcome to the Dustin Daniels Show.
Well, thank you. What a great way for me to start the day.
Hey, it is a pleasure to have you on the program. And, you know, my first question for you, Josh, is really just kind of an affirmation. Thank you for speaking out and letting people know about this epidemic in our culture, in our churches. And you've really taken on this topic of sexual sin, specifically in pornography. And we'll talk about your summit coming up here in just a few minutes. But can you tell us how you got involved in the church's favorite topic of pornography and sexual sin? You don't hear that much from the pulpit.
Well, over the years, there's been two themes to my ministry, to my talking, writing, everything. It's biblical apologetics, setting forth positive reasons why you believe. And the other has been sexual relationships, because it's usually sexual relationships that sideline somebody intellectually and emotionally when it comes to truth about Christianity. And about 5 years ago, I just, maybe 6 years ago now, I started to sense there's something happening that's affecting young people's attitudes, behavior, their belief system and all. And the more I looked into it, all of a sudden I woke up and realized it's pervasive internet pornography. And I thought I knew most things about life, but when I started looking into pornography, I was staggered. I never dreamed in the church that we could have a problem such as this that nobody would talk about. And so I knew if I was truly a biblical apologist, meaning set forth reasons why you believe, I had to deal with the barriers to beliefs of Christians and non-Christians. So I knew I had to deal with pornography. So that's what started it all.
What is the big deal about pornography, Josh?
Well, I'll put it this way. It is probably the greatest threat to the cause of Christ in the history of the world. In Romans 12, it says to set aside every encumbrance that so does easily beset you. Well, I'm convinced the number one encumbrance in the world to the church right now is pornography. Chuck Swindoll said, Josh, it's the greatest cancer in the church.
Mm.
And what it does, it robs people of God's joy and ultimate plan of sexuality and intimacy. That's the thing that it takes away from. The thing that it adds to is, oh my gosh, it starts to kill intimacy in marriage. A man will start to look like a woman. Will look at a woman as a porn star, a sex object. It starts to remap your brain. Literally, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That a negative spiritual act of pornography will literally change your neurology, your brain pathways. And it leads to child abuse, rape, sex abuse, child trafficking. For those four things, the number one cause is pornography now. It is so gripping. It's not that men don't love their children, they love pornography more.
Right.
It's not that they don't love their wife, they love pornography more. And after a short period of time, when that becomes an addiction, a compulsion for them, a man or a woman no longer controls it. It controls them. And the thing is, Dustin, with women, it's exploding. Two of the largest demographics that's growing is women and young girls. And it's for different reasons than men. For women, for the most part, not all the time, but the most part, is how to save my marriage, and which is decadent. And then for girls, it's how do I either get a boyfriend or how do I keep my boyfriend? And I would say to a young lady, I'd want to say, then the guy is trash and not worth it. It'll destroy you.
So you're doing something about it. You've got this conference coming up in April, and it's called Set Free. It's a global summit. Tell us about that.
Well, I knew if I started to address it, we had to deal with a solution. And there are solutions, but there's no one solution. There's no silver bullet. So I decided to bring together the top presenters in the world that understood pornography with men, women, wives, children, teenagers, families and all, with 20% of it on the problem and the extent of the problem and 80% of it on solutions. To give every person in the world, every leader, the opportunity. Now, 99.9% would not take advantage of it. The opportunity to not just understand pornography, but the consequences of it and the positive solutions to it. I would say 95% of pastors I've talked to have no understanding of pornography.
Mm.
And I'll tell you this, Dustin. If you don't understand the brain, you can't understand pornography. And if you don't understand the brain, you will probably never come up with the right solution. And few people understand the neurological consequences of pornography. And so we're putting on this conference next April 4th to the 7th for influencers. I wish every Christian school director was there. It's just as real in Christian schools as secular schools, if not even more so. And headmasters won't address it. I wish every camp director, conference director, every pastor, youth pastor, every businessman who has influence in the business community could be there. Now, most won't come because of shame and fear of exposure, especially Christian leaders. But that's not going to take place there. What's going to take place are solutions.
Yeah, you've got it blocked for 4 full days and having 30 speakers in those 4 days. This is a big deal. And to find out more, you can go to setfreesummit.org. I've been preaching on the air now for 3 or 4 years, Josh, about getting the church to talk about this from the pulpit. What is your take on why we're not talking about this issue from the pulpit?
Because most pastors are blind to it. For example, all the stats, and they're accurate, 78.8% of evangelical men and evangelical born-again churches watch pornography. About 29-30% of the women. 50% of the men, all that attend, are addicted. Not just watching it, addicted. That means 11 hours or more a week. 20% of all women who attend evangelical churches are addicted to pornography. When they just did a study of pastors, and they asked these pastors, evangelical pastors, how many men in your church watch pornography? 63% said less than 10%. None of them said over 45%. In reality, the stat is 78.8%. And here's the thing. If that is true, oh my gosh, we got the greatest disconnect between church leadership and church people, if that is true.
And do you think that is, Josh, because the clergy is also involved?
Yes. I will know the exact stats. We commissioned the largest study ever to be done of pornography, and it's on pornography in the church.
Wow.
On pastors, youth pastors, church leaders, youth, and their involvement in pornography and all. And we paid $250,000 for the study.
Wow.
Most studies would be 600 to 1,000 people. We're doing 3,800 to have about a 97% accuracy rating. And so then I will know the exact stats. And in the end of January, we're having a global news conference in New York. It's going to be staggering for the church.
Unbelievable. And I'm assuming those stats will be on your website when they're released?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Josh McDowell and his Set Free Global Summit that addresses this epidemic of pornography. You can check out the Set Free Global Summit by visiting setfreesummit.org. You're listening to The Dustin Daniels Show.
Do you want to know more about the Bible? If you teach a Bible study and want to be more effective, or you just want to learn for your own personal discipleship, then the Certificate of Bible Teaching program may be for you. Golden Gate Baptist Theological Seminary, one of the 10 largest seminaries in the world, offers classes in North Phoenix designed to give students greater insight into the content and message of the Bible. Students also learn ways of presenting the Bible more effectively in Bible studies, Sunday school, home groups, or personal discipleship. In North Phoenix, classes meet at I-17 and Cactus Road. Other certificate, diploma, and degree programs are available in North Phoenix and in Scottsdale at the seminary's Arizona campus, located on Hayden Road. Call today for more information. 480-941-1993. That's area code 480-941-1993. Golden Gate Baptist Theological Seminary, shaping leaders who expand God's kingdom around the world.
The Dustin Daniels Show is a listener-supported program and is an outreach ministry of 7 Places. Pastor Dustin's mission is to connect you and your church to the power of purity by teaching, training, preaching, and proclaiming Christ-centered purity through this radio ministry. To give your best gift today, text 7 Places to the number 77977 or visit our website at DustinDanielsRadio.com. Now, back to the program with Pastor Dustin.
We are speaking with Josh McDowell about the issue of pornography. and he has a global summit. It's called Set Free. It's going to be happening April 4th through the 7th in Greensboro, North Carolina. You can jump on the website at setfreesummit.org. There is an early bird special for all the pricing right now. And Josh, let's discuss children and pornography, because I think that is my greatest fear when it comes to sexual sin, and I know you have a lot to say about that. How young?
According to porn stats, 20 to 30% of their viewing audiences are children. With the average age of introduction pornography is 8 years old. That means 50% of people before 8, 50% after 8. I believe in Christian homes, pastors' homes, it's about 4 to 6 years old, the first exposure to pornography. And one of the problems with children, God created in our brains a hormone called norepinephrine. It's a memory chemical. And God created it that when we see an event, a photo, a picture, an emotion, a feeling, a fear, an experience, norepinephrine is released in our brain, and it takes that image, that fear, that joy, that experience, and chemically attaches it to your brain for recall. This is why professionals call it the paperclip hormone. It paperclips your images to your brain for recall, and often for your entire life. With an ordinary man sitting there watching a computer, most of it's on a handheld device, and pornography flashes up. In less than 20 seconds, norepinephrine is released and is attached to a man's memory or a woman's memory. With a child, it's under 1 second. I think it's 0.78 of a second. Norepinephrine attaches that child's image. This is why when parents say to a child, well, just look away, well, it's already affected them. Oh, don't look at it. It's already affected them.
Right.
And with our children, I'll guarantee you this, and we're going to summit help to accomplish this. If we don't help parents to create the most incredible, loving, intimate, emotional, secure relationship with their children, where that child feels free to ask mom or dad anything, without shame, without judgment, without starting to quote the Bible, and without humor. So many Christian parents, I cannot believe them. The moment something happens to the child, well, don't you know the Bible says? That's the fastest way to turn your child off. You can do that later. You listen to your child. You have empathy for your child. And then you start walking them through the solutions. But if children grew up without that, it's difficult for a child.
I was watching a video that you have on your website, Josh, and you said this: Google has become our sex educator.
Oh, no question about it.
Can you say more on that?
Oh, absolutely. Mom and dad, overall, mom and dad, the church, the school, the youth group, no longer is the sex educator. It's Google. Almost every issue a kid sees, they'll Google now. And I tell parents, boy, if you're not accurate when you give an answer to your child about sexuality, you better remember they will Google it. And when they Google it, anything about sex will take them to pornography. There was this one mother called me. She panicked, and she realized her 8-year-old son up in his room had her smartphone. So she went up there, opened the door, walked in, and he took the phone and pressed it to his chest. Well, any mother knows something's wrong there. She handled it so right. She asked him what he was watching. He said nothing. Said, honey, what are you watching? He took the phone, threw it across the room. Said, I'm bad. I'm a bad boy. Mom, I'm bad. Said, no, you're not, honey. Yes, I am. She went over and picked up the phone and said, Josh, I thought I'd seen everything in life. The porn my son had pulled up was incredible. And she handled it right. She went over, sat down next to him, gave him a hug, kissed him, and said, son, why are you looking at this? I had to. Son, why did you have to look at this? Well, at school, 8 years old, goes to a Christian school, said everybody at school is talking about a girl's da-da, her breasts, but used the other words. And I didn't know what it was, so I Googled it. Of course, as soon as you Google that, up comes pornography. And he got hooked on pornography in trying to find answers to questions about a woman's body and sexuality. Another couple, their son is 13 years old, goes to a Christian school, and she called me. She said, Josh, what do we do? We thought there was just something a little wrong with the privacy of our son and the bedroom and all. And so they went into his cell phone and found pornography. And they sat down with him. They handled it so right, reinforced their love for him, and asked him why. He said, Daddy, I had to. Now, what do you mean you had to? Now, understand, he goes to an evangelical Christian school.
Right.
Said, well, at school, all the kids in the locker room call me gay. And the mom and dad said, why? Because I don't watch pornography. So I had to download pornography, and every day I show them what I'm watching so they don't call me gay. Isn't that? And most Christian headmasters have no idea. And I'll guarantee you we'll only get a small handful of Christian headmasters of school at the summit when every one of them should be there. I wish everyone listening on this phone would contact every pastor they could, every counselor, every camp director, every school director, every youth pastor, and tell them to go to the link, setfreesummit.org, and consider the seminar. So I'll tell you this, Dustin, if something doesn't happen soon, we will never even have the opportunity to reverse it, even with a revival or an awakening. Do you hear me?
I hear you, and I hear the deep concern and the passion that's in your voice because you know what's at stake. So I want to thank you for the deep concern that you've got, and I pray that your passion overflows into this conference. Once again, if you're interested in the conference itself, visit setfreesummit.org. This is Set Free. It's a global summit put on by Josh McDowell, April 4th through the 7th in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's going to be 4 solid days, 30 speakers. 30, the best speakers on the issue of sexual sin and pornography. Once again, that's setfreesummit.org. Well, I can't thank you enough for listening. You can also find out more, by the way, about Josh McDowell's ministry at josh.org. And if you want to listen to the over 100 episodes of this show, you can visit my website at dustindanielsradio.com. You can listen online. You can listen via podcast or iTunes. You can email us your questions at a free online community.
The Dustin Daniels Radio Show is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to the subject matter covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the host nor the station is engaged in rendering counseling advice for your personal situation. If you need further help, we encourage you to seek the services of a Christ-based counseling professional. For more information on the radio show, visit DustinDanielsRadio.com.